Hello, this is Ultra Titan Z, and this is my review of Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2. Now, I'm going to discuss Season 1 a little bit here because I didn't really make a video on that, but I do want to acknowledge it anyway. So, starting off with that, when Monarch initially came out and I was watching through that first season, I had mixed feelings about it. I was appreciating that it was, well, I guess even at the time I wasn't fully appreciating it yet, because it would go back to that more grounded tone of 2014, and it wasn't that was a problem. In the end, that was an aspect of it I liked a lot, but I don't think. I mean, it's a very much a character driven series, and I wasn't a huge fan of the characters at first, and yeah, I thought they were like whiny, and I just couldn't get into it. But by the end, I was feeling decent about them. And when the second season came out, I was feeling. By the time that ended, just the other day, I was in love with all of the characters and so excited to see where things were going to go from here. I can't wait for a third season. And I just loved the whole thing. I thought, looking back, the first season is still like really solid, but I think it was the second season that sold me. And it's not just because there was a lot more Titan action, not just Titan action, just like with the megafauna and stuff, though that certainly was a part of it. Well, maybe that is the reason I like it a bit more, but I don't know. But I just felt like in the second season, the characters had, I don't know, I don't even know if I'd say they had more time to shine. I just liked them more, maybe because they were already like well established by the time it started, so I was more invested in them, I'd say. But either way, I really enjoyed all of them. I think all the actors did a great performance, and this like deep character drama that takes up the bulk of the plot is something I think that's been missing from a lot of MonsterVerse content, which makes sense because, movies and comic miniseries, right? That's going to focus a lot more on the Titans for the most part. But this show gives the opportunity to explore more of that human side of things, and I love just having all of this monsterverse lore divulged to us about Monarch and Apex and all of the Hollow Earth and how Titans live. It's really like, this is what I want to see. So I'm hoping, with the third season, I'd love to see, or even like any more spin-off TV series, I'd love to see more like Titan X-Files type thing, which I don't think should be too hard to do. They've already kind of implemented elements of that. So yeah, I've really enjoyed what they've put out there so far. I think the Titan action is great. Obviously, used a lot more sparingly in the first season because that was really about building up the characters and the history of Monarch, which of course I'm all for that. But when the Titans did come out, it was awesome. The fight with Godzilla and the Ion Dragon was so cool. I think the Ion Dragon should honestly become a MonsterVerse staple. Like, I don't know that it's gonna appear much again, but it's it's kind of this like catalyst of a monster. The way its connection to Bill Randa, and it's I also just really like it as a monster. I think it looks really cool, and it's got neat abilities. But I think it's kind of the Monarch monster in my eyes, even though its presence was mainly in the first season and it wasn't even there that long. It's had a huge impact on the whole history of the MonsterVerse. So that's like like Monarch monster to me is the Ion Dragon. Um, and then this latest season we have Titan X or Kokai. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I do prefer to call her Kokai because I think Titan X, it's kind of a dumb name. I think it can be used well if it's reserved for something a bit more mysterious and ominous, but Kokai is a bit more of a, I mean, I guess she kind of starts off as mysterious, but I don't think she's really deserving of that title. She's just kind of a mom, which now, when I think about it, there's actually a lot of moms in the MonsterVerse, and they usually get beaten up by Godzilla at some point, usually killed. But you know, I know that's a kind of a joke that's been circling around recently. The Godzilla hates single mothers, but that aside, I think the characterization of Godzilla and Kong was handled perfectly in Monarch so far. I think I like Kong. Kong, I think has had a fairly consistent personality throughout the MonsterVerse, but I know Godzilla's been a point of contention. So seeing him more in his early character in the MonsterVerse, I think is great to see, and it's just so the Titan treatment is great. I love seeing all the megafauna show up in random places, and we get more action. We got to see like creatures that were like reserved to the comics, like the Psycho Vulture. That was so cool. Or the Vine Strangler was just from like concept art originally. So all of this stuff I think is really meaningful. The connections to the expanded material is just really great, and I think the show ties into the MonsterVerse so well. Like it respects what's already been established whilst also telling its own original story, and it is a great original story. I think the Axis Mundi is a really interesting concept, and in like an in between Hollow Earth and the surface, or like in between the dimensions or whatever it is. It's really there's a lot of interesting concepts to be explored there, and I think I really enjoyed the use of the sparing use of semi time travel. I think was really fascinating, and just some really beautiful character moments, and that whole episode about Lee Shaw talking to himself in the past was so powerful. I think, especially with the second season, really strong character moments that really got me like really feeling for these characters. So I really enjoyed it. I also we got to talk about some other aspects of it because I've been talking about the characters the whole time because obviously that's like the selling point. We already gone over the monsters, but the soundtrack is really good, and it is like the perfect vibe I want from the the soundtrack there. I think pretty much all the projects have done good with the music, but this one just it speaks to me as like Monsterverse esque soundtrack. It's just kind of like a vibe. That opening theme, so good. Like that is the theme of this whole interconnected uh, world to me is Monarch opening theme. Just really, really great. It's got like that mysterious vibe with like the sonar echoes for like like the orca and stuff. So that's cool. Visuals are just amazing. It's like the same quality stuff you expect from the movies, which is great. Right? Like, I mean, you might be able to make some like nitpicks, but I think overall it's really good. Yeah, it's been great to just explore all of these places and ideas that we've seen in the past. Again, we also we can't we I'm ignoring the elephant in the room. Rodan. Rodan is back. I don't know if it's the Rodan or if it's gonna be like the original Rodan film where there's a male and a female, or if it's just some other member of the species. I think that would be really cool to see. I don't know how they're gonna tie it in to like him being dormant in, I think it was Mexico, in that volcano. So I'm not gonna judge that yet because it just got, it's just kind of a teaser for what's to come. So yeah, I really like that Rodan is back because I don't think he was underutilized in King of the Monsters, but I thought we should have seen more of Rodan in any of the media, not even in like the comics, really, like fully. So I am so excited to see more from. I mean, I want to see more Rodan at post King of the Monsters, but I'm not gonna. I'm just excited to see more of a very good incarnation of Rodan because I think it's a really awesome version. Anyway, yeah, love the characters and their like the dynamics between the whole cast because it's such a huge cast and they all have, I mean, it's not huge, but it's a large cast and they all have different dynamics with each other. I think that's always cool to explore. Great monsters, great music, great everything. I just I really became sold on the second season in a way that I wasn't with the first season. Even the I don't know. I guess it's just the amount of time, maybe the amount of time I've spent with the characters. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with Kentaro and Isabel Isabel Simmons, and I think she's a really interesting character, like a surrogate daughter of like the richest guy ever, and he built Mechagodzilla. So there's all the connections. Again, it's really great, and I'm interested to see what kind of shenanigans that's a way of putting it lightly that they'll get up to in the future. I particularly like the setup with Keiko, Kate, May, and Tim working as a unit at Monarch now together. It seems they're finally settled into a static place and they can go really anywhere from here. So I think that's great. I'm definitely a big fan of the Tim and May duo there. I think they're really fun. So I had a great time with this show, and I'm super excited to see what comes next. Because obviously, most MonsterVerse media, although it does, expand on the plot as much and the setting as much as it can, it usually tries to focus on the spectacle or individual characters. And this show not only is giving us that much needed like deep history, it's also providing us with some really deep characters. So really, really awesome. Can't say it enough. That's probably why I keep repeating it. But yeah, can't wait to see where things go from here. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one. Goodbye.